Right, welcome to my video blog for this week, and I'm talking about two different people, but they're in the same situation, and for sort of similar reasons really. Firstly, I think I should address the topic of Jon Jones and what happened this week. Do you know, to give the basis of this, Jon Jones was supposed to fight Dan Henderson as the main event on UFC 151, and he is the current champion of the division, with Henderson being the contender. Now, as happens quite a lot, it has to be said, one party of the main event gets injured and has to pull out. In this case, it was Dan Henderson. And so, with about a week left to go, actually a little bit more than that, but with about a week left to go, it was who do we, as the organisation, put to fight Jon Jones? And you know, they asked Lyoto, who had fought him before and had lost, and Lyoto said no. I think it's a bit bad for any fighter to actually say no, because that's sort of what they're paid to do. But he was a contender, not the champion, so, you know, okay, perhaps if he doesn't want to take it on short notice, fair enough, no harm done, I suppose. Chael Sonnen then asked if he could fight, and a lot of people have said, well, he doesn't deserve it. No, but neither do a lot of people that are fast-tracked. That's, ooh, thank you very much. That's nothing new, it has to be said, and for people who don't have a worry with Brock Lesnar, for example, or even Anderson Silva, then I don't think they should really be talking about Chael Sonnen in that matter, because let's be honest with ourselves and say that the UFC fast-track people for a number of reasons, and either you're for fast-tracking or you're against fast-tracking. You can't really, or you shouldn't really, pick and choose. Now, the UFC said fine, and then it came to Jon Jones saying no, he wouldn't fight. Now, that caused the collapse of the whole card, and that's really damaged him. And there's a number of things to be said here, and that is first that they're all to blame. They're all to blame for this, okay? A lot of people are just blaming Jon for this collapse. And I must say that firstly, it's quite possible that he didn't know his declining that particular person would cause the entire card to collapse. He may not have known that. Secondly, there's probably a stipulation in his contract saying that he doesn't have to, and therefore, legally speaking, by declining, he hasn't done anything wrong. There's a lot to be said for the fact that champions should not be declining or picking and choosing who they fight. That's a major problem. It's something that has come up a lot. You know, I haven't got time to prepare, for example. Well, you know, those may be tough circumstances in which to do your job, but the rest of us who are in gainful employment don't have the opportunity to decide and pick and choose what to do. If our bosses tell us to do something, we do it, and I do think that they should be doing the same. You have to remember also that there is politics going on behind this. The president doesn't like Greg Jackson, who is the coach from that team, and has done a lot here to say that it's Greg Jackson's fault that this has happened. I don't think we can blame Jon Jones for taking Greg Jackson's advice, because that's what he's there for. We can say that, you know, Greg Jackson generally doesn't take risks, gets a lot of stick because his game plans are often to win on point rather than to actually put on any entertainment at all. But that brings me to the main thing, and that's why this is actually the company at fault as well. There's nothing to say that you should scrap a whole card just because one fight on that card hasn't worked out. If you haven't got to the stage where you've developed a card enough that it doesn't hinge on one person, that's really bad management. And the UFC are in a stage where, and I've been saying this for a long time, they've gone way too far, way too fast. They have flooded the market with fight card after fight card after fight card, and the cards in value are decreasing. The value of them in terms of financially are exactly the same, so there's no surprise that people can't afford to watch all of them, and that those that are watching all of them are seeing events watered down. Can we really blame that on Jon Jones, or is it just that this one decision has sparked, has been used as a good example of what's going on? They obviously need to start writing some of this stuff in the contracts. They need to, if they don't want people to decline, they need to say you can't decline in the contract, because that would solve that problem pretty quickly. And to me, it's surprising that they haven't already done that, and I'm sure that's on their minds. Now, more recently, just this morning, Jones has let out a statement saying that he's incredibly sorry for all those fighters who have lost money, and all the fans who have lost money from buying tickets and thinking that they were going to go, and that he takes responsibility for it, for the company on this term. Now, far from being the goodness of his heart, this is just another political point scoring. He is now playing, and this is how I know that there is a political battle going on. And this is Greg Jackson's way of saying, fair enough, we don't mind martyring ourselves for this cause, and people are now supposed to empathise and say, look, he has actually said he's sorry and that he's prepared to take full responsibility for everything. I don't know whether people will buy that, or whether it's just a case of his stock's dropped now from that one action. He's very, very young. That's the other really unfortunate thing about this, is that, incredibly talented though he is, he's also very, very young, and I believe he's been caught a little bit in a battle between these two people, Greg Jackson's camps and the president of the institution, and I do feel like he's been caught in the crossfire here, and because he's the famous one, he's the one who then gets blamed. He's the one who people have an opinion of, whether it's good or bad, and he's the one people are talking about. And when it looks negative, it looks negative, and there isn't a lot he can do. If he defends himself, then he's making it worse. If he comes out and says that he was wrong, he'll be said to be unreliable. He's damned if he does, damned if he doesn't. There's nothing he can do. He just has to hope that this blows over, basically. Which, of course, brings me on to my second point, and that's a similar thing that's been going on with the British royal family this week, after Prince Harry was caught, quite literally, with his pants down in Las Vegas. Now, this has been a political thing where the press in Britain were told not to print the pictures by the palace because it was a matter of privacy. But of course that only governs the British side of things. It doesn't govern anything on the internet, which is international. And the press were saying, it's a matter of press integrity, and we have to be free to print exactly what we want. So we will print these photos because they're available on the net, anybody can see them, so if we don't print them, it's obviously censorship. And I have to say, they've got a gall, really, after the Levinson inquiry into press standards, because there is absolutely no need to print those photos at all if they're all online. And to be honest with you, it has to be said, it's the crappy paper that's gone and done it. It's the Sun that's gone and done it, which, to be honest with yourselves, you shouldn't be seen dead reading. It's not the most serious. It's a little bit more like the gossip paper of tabloids, which is a shame. That to me says something about this society. It really does. You know, particularly when you could get it on the internet. Fair enough. You have to also be saying that he's done nothing that thousands of people, ordinary people, don't do every week, every weekend more like. And whilst you can have a moral position on whether he should do that sort of thing or not, it seems a little harsh to print photos of him naked in the press and say, oh my goodness, when, you know, most of the people doing that do it every weekend. So, you know, who are they to judge, really, when they're doing it every weekend? It's just literally because of his status, and, you know, he's ended up in a lot of trouble for it, I'm sure. A lot of embarrassment about it, and it's the same sort of thing. He can't really say anything about it, because if he addresses it, whatever he says, people will form opinions one way or the other. And his best hope now, I suppose, just like Jones, is to not say anything and hope that in a couple of weeks people have got bored of the idea and have moved on. But you know, those are my opinions on the two issues. I do feel sorry for him. I do really feel sorry for him, because I think, you know, again, he's being used as part of a political battle into, you know, freedom of the press, and it's so mean to do that to somebody who, you know, there's just no need for it. You don't need to see the pictures to know what a naked person looks like. It's just rude. So that's about it. As my week has not been particularly eventful. We've had a trip to Tockwith, which no doubt you'll see the photos of, and my garden is still coming along nicely. But other than that, it's just been a normal week, so I thought I would take time out, so to speak, from that, and just give my views on those two issues, since they're in a way so similar, and highlight, I suppose, the price of fame, which is, you know, something perhaps under those circumstances we ought to be glad we don't have.